would like to share slides. Friends, good afternoon to all of you. I must thank Dr. Saraswathy, who in fact suggested this title to me. And when she suggested this title, I was very comfortable, in terms of sharing my experiences. If you find it is useful, that will be very nice of you. Now, before I proceed with my experiences, I would like to show you two slides, in terms of what is policy and anthropology and policy. What is that, I have taken from those references which I have quoted there. Action, you see, whatever policy, it is not the document, we submit to government. What is important is the value, perspective, rational. All policies have to be rational. They cannot be confined to irrational type of policies. Policies should be rational. It may address to any situation, but rationality is very important. That means value is very important. And action. Action, this is what the term, which anthropologists come into the picture compared to all other disciplines. Now, again, he is defining what is action. He says that, it is not, we are not concerned. The policy is not concerned with what was done before, but referred to procedure and protocol, procedure and protocols to achieve some value, to bring in some perspective. This is, I think, very important for anthropology. And whenever a policy becomes a public policy with government funding, government authority commits resources, even government itself come out with a policy. Usually all the policies, they have so preferred value may now anthropology and policy, as I told you, it is in situ, that means present. Ethnography, as studying through, is a powerful research method in anthropology. Now, public policy is nothing but anthropology, when anthropology is implicitly deals with policy itself, public policy itself, and the object of analysis with cultural and philosophical underpinnings. So, devoted to research into policy issues, processes and critical analysis of those processes are within the purview of anthropological research. Now, setting agenda for my presentation, when I became, as a director in charge, I took over in 2004, and before that I was in survey, but this in charge of director, it was I was invited because I was a senior most anthropologist at that time, and the predecessor has retired, and they want to find some senior most, they invited me. I accepted, I have to go to Calcutta. Otherwise, I was in Hyderabad with CCMB as on deputation. I accepted the post and I went there. My first action, in terms of policy action is to submit a document to government, what I called it mission and vision document, And when I submitted the document, the value is very clear, In those days, developed nation, India should be developed nation by 2022. That's what the talk going on, I took clue from it. I said, this is a value, Survey, Anthropological Survey of India should have international facilities, and it should be developed in consonance with the developed nation. That is my mission statement. Then I went ahead about the vision, how anthropological survey of India can be reinvented. So it's all a strategy, in terms of policy and implementation. Now coming to projects, what I found was when my vision statement is already accepted, accordingly I have to now, I know that what projects I have to implement. And again, the value comes there that we are addressing some national issues. It is not that, a project in survey, Anthropological Survey of India, imagine, it's a large, huge organization. Nowhere in the country we have an Anthropological Survey of India. It has headquarters in Calcutta, 8 regional centers, and initially it used to have more than 750 staff members. All physical, cultural, psychologists, photographers, oh my God, a lot of staff, Now, the projects which we proposed, as a strategy again, what we said is that usually in the project in survey, because it is government funded projects, no project is funded by outsiders. Government of India funds the project, and it takes usually 5 years duration of the project. And now I have realized one issue here is that when you implement a project, ultimately it takes 5 years, okay? And then, again, analysis, publication takes another 2 years. Then anthropological research has no relevance to the people. This is one thing, which I said that, no, something has to be missing here. We have to do something. So we did exactly that. All our projects have interface with people. And how we did it, I'm going to share. What we did was 2 things there. One is people, communities, okay? Second thing, public at large. These 2 things have to be tackled in such a way our results are shared in situ, okay? That exactly we did. We had exhibitions, public all over the country, mobile exhibitions, all that. Lot of activity, lot of action. Now, again, there was an opportunity for us that our results were discussed in, it is a policy matter. Every year one national conference, national or international conference, okay? All our colleagues, whoever they have done fieldwork, doing fieldwork, lot of data, they are now coming and facing, national scholars, international scholars, interaction. So the results are discussed. And now when the results are discussed, we found, that there are some issues which need to be flagged to the Government of India. Government of India, we have to flag these issues for formulation of policies. We did that. Okay. And lastly, I'm going to deal one particular, aspect, and you also should think about it. That is, already we initiated action in this aspect, declaring Anthropological Survey of India as scientific organization. In fact, when survey was established, when I was going through the historical records, it is clearly mentioned, scientific study of ethnographic profile of Indian population. It was initiated to conduct scientific study on ethnography of Indian populations. This is when British colonial time, it is now at the time of transition, 1945, like that, after independence, these organizations, like Anthropological Survey of India, Botanical Survey of India, Geological Survey of India, Geological Survey of India, Geographical Survey of India, they're all established pretty long. Earlier, anthropology was a section in Geological Survey of India. Now, because of Dr. Guha, who is founder, he is a well-known scholar, and now the study on ethnography was proposed and it was approved. And later, Anthropological Survey of India was established. Okay. Now I go through my slides. I would like to confine my presentation in another 15 to 20 minutes so that it is better, interaction is more. Lot of young students are participating. I see that 300, 400 students, who are already online and they are participating. Their comments are very important. Okay? Now, the first policy intervention, mission and vision statement, approved. 2004 I joined, within 3 months I got the approvals, okay? Now value statement is developed nation by 2022. This is what, at that time, India should be developed by 2022 by infrastructure of world standards, okay? Now, our vision statement, we said that biocultural variations is the central theme of anthropology. Nobody is going to dispute on this. And we have to tell them it's a unique organization. Anthropology is a unique organization in the world, solely devoted to anthropological research in the country. From inception, mapping and documenting bioculture profile of Indian population, including ancient skeletal material, is the mandate. Okay. Now I am introducing a bit of, these all, these documents are dealt by ministry, government of India. Now, at that time, Human Genome Project is, it is becoming, very popular at that time. In newspapers, you get that. It is a lot of, excitement. And I had, by that time, I had exposure, I was on deputation to CCMP. We were doing some genome diversity projects. Now, Human Genome Project, solely technology-driven, has revolutionized the understanding of biocultural landscape. I want to emphasize here that Human Genome Project is not only biological enterprise, it is a cultural enterprise. It has revolutionized whole philosophy, how we think about human life, both culturally and biologically. Okay? So from that way, there is, one value and for this perspective. And now what we told is that paradigm shift. It is not that documenting biocultural variation is the mandate of the organization, no doubt, but we said now, very definite, we want to understand processes, emphasizing on processes and integrated multidisciplinary intervention. This paradigm shift, processes, integrated multidisciplinary intervention, and reinventing survey. You see, whenever you are, heading an organization, there will be a lot of requests. They think, survey is survey. Why can't you survey this? Why can't you survey that? Nothing doing. During that time, we have set my agenda. So government is also Minister of Culture, I have to explain to them, no, this is not, survey is already we have done. They want survey, I can give them a lot of references. Let them go and see the references. And people of India, a lot of work, documentation. So the paradigm shift, this is what it was approved and we are on the job. Now, to recognize Anthropological Survey of India as one of the, addressing the developed nation, we have international standard technology. There's no escape in it. The way we do our work, let us see, libraries. How can you do research without libraries? So modernization is required there. At that time, libraries are in poor state of affairs. we have initiated digitization of all the regional libraries and also headquarter library. Okay. Ultimately, the task was linking all these libraries. Okay. And 8-storage building, we have proposed 8-storage building and headquarters. And it is supposed to have this library, huge library, which will be, immense security for the students in anthropology. And the journal anthropological museums we used to have, all over the country, but we said we have to modernize them. And digital cartography, human ecologists, my God, we said, no, this is what we need a GIS, software. We need those computers. We need those mappers. We got it. And modern DNA laboratories everywhere in survey. With sequencing technology, I had 3 sequencers in survey, Mysore, Nagpur, and Kolkata. We implemented a genome diversity project on our own, okay? And ancient DNA facility was proposed. Government of India sanctioned 6.5 crores. Unfortunately, I don't know what is the status. Now here the challenge was simultaneously manpower training and for training, we collaborated with ISRO and Pune Institute of Film Institute, visual anthropology, whatever we want to do. Such as film and the television institute. We have collaborated them. Our scholars went there, they trained, they came back, they requisitioned equipment procured, and BARC and CCMB facilities, transfer of technology. We did DNA through them. So policy intervention 2, this is very important. The facilities are declared as national facilities, open to students and faculty of various departments of anthropology in the country, and also scholars from other disciplines pursuing anthropology-oriented research. Formats of agreement, approved formats, they were placed on survey website. Only a scholar has to download the format, sign it, forward it by his guide, head of the department, and send to the survey. Immediately online response. Now I am not seeing these agreements in the web. Hope the present director who may be in the audience, he can look into the matter. Now policy intervention 3, research projects, we have again some arrangements, First time in survey, we introduced principal investigator, co-principal investigator, collaborators, okay? And all are national projects. Now a national project, earlier, only the director is the national coordinator. Now here, when we set PI, co-PIs and all that, the project is national, but we identified issues, the part of the national project, and said, you are the PI. He is the senior most scholars, whether it is physical or cultural, according to the project, he is PI and co-PIs are there. But manpower shortage is a big issue in survey. We solved it by increasing, phenomenal increase in the number of fellows, and also fellowship. We used to pay very paltry, 600, 800 rupees at that time. When UGC fellowship was 10,000, 13,000. I said, no, nothing doing. Agenda is there. I have to implement project. Government of India has to give me the fellows, enhance the fellowship. Okay. This has resulted in improved quality of research outcome. So research projects, as I told you, anthropology research as intervention strategy, it is present, it is ethnography, okay? In situ or studying through. So what is our policy is that while implementing a research project, interactive sessions with all stakeholders and sharing the finding of the project at field point or village. There's no question, the team comes back, analyzes and nothing doing. There itself, you analyze the data, whatever it is, broad perspective, okay? And then you have to share, you have to, with the villagers, with the local officials, all stakeholders. This is what, one of the targets. Now I can show you examples of how we did this. Suppose we had a project on man and environment. Then this project, is a very broad-based national project. We focused it on biosphere reserve. There are 16 biosphere reserves in the country. And now, as you know, biosphere reserves definition, core region, buffer region, terrestrial region. UNESCO, initially they thought, man in core region is incompatible with conservation. They said, no man in the core region. Afterwards, UNESCO itself recognized that environmental conservation on without traditional beliefs and cultural values and human habitation, taking care in core zones is very important, okay? Now we landed at that particular juncture. Already Forest Department is one of the managers, and there are appointed biosphere managers in every biosphere. And now we have intervened, we have exchanged our data on one ethnographic tribals who are there. We did intensive study of each biosphere. Now, what is the successful intervention? Now, I'm happy to share with you. Granting permission to local tribes to worship their gods deep inside the forest after displacement. These people were there inside in the forest, in the core region, since ages. And you came now with conservation, already they were conserving this place, now we said, no, it is not like that, you have to do like this. Wherever intervention, wherever biosphere, if the fellow is sensitive, the local authorities, but a document has been submitted locally, okay? Now, importance of kinship and social organization while displacing and resettlement of tribal families. We have come across a lot of tragic events, how psychological effect, one kinship is very strong among tribal. They have uprooted them. One family is one settlement, another family is another far off settlement. The only thing is they could have taken care of, though before displacing some sort of anthropological intervention, studying their organization and kinship, and then affecting displacement. This is one intervention. And another example is physical growth and development of children in Northeast. What we said before implementing, we have to meet all the district officials, even district community council members, and tell them about our project. And this used to be a meeting, where I myself used to participate, and all the team members used to participate. Now, when the project is completed, I told to my team leaders, just give us some broad results. You measured people, children. Tell us how many are below regional standards of growth and nutrition. Now, in the village, all the village council members are there. They never thought, their children are not up to the mark of whatever is required in the standard development, Now we are telling them 20% of in the village are below standard. So there is some sort of sensitization. And also we brought in, health authorities where nutritionist was recruited for us. And she used to come and have counseling sessions with the villagers, what is the good food, what is nutritious food, based on the local foods available, okay? So we raised children's growth, physical growth, as a public health issue here. We could publish few papers, but huge data is lying without publishing, We have took the help of 16 research fellows in this project, They all collected very standard data. A lot of training went in terms of quality control. Data is excellent, but unfortunately, this is lying, unpublished. Okay. Then we had other project on community genetics and health, We have all facilities, hematology analyzers, HPLCs, DNA sequences, for mutation profiling. What we did, while implementing this project in Kolkata, Nagpur, we started this project. In Kolkata, beta thalassemia is rampant, and Nagpur, sickle cell is a big problem. Now, what we said, in Kolkata, we have included psychologists in this, along with physical anthropologists, social anthropologists, to in terms of educating awareness, awareness among the people, and in a scientific way. It is not that I did a lecture and I came out. No, they have to do a scientific study, with proper tools. And at NGO, we collaborated with NGO at Nagpur. Nagpur, we collaborated with NGO. That NGO president recently, he was awarded Padma Shri, a community man, and in fact, effective prevention strategy here. Besides our understanding of microevolutionary studies, And now these projects, when we thought, it has to come to, some projects have to come to public space, Two projects, Human Origin, Genome and People of India, and Syncretism in India, a multidisciplinary study, It's a very interesting project, We said that this has to come to the public. Mobile exhibition fabricated and mounted by professionals, And with a strong message in these, with a lot of panels, there are universals, biocultural universals. And, humans everywhere share a lot. Even Syncretism, we found at local level, they share a lot of religious beliefs. In Kerala, in church, the way they worship, all Hindu type of symbolism there. All this is documented. And with documentation, I am coming into public forum and telling them there are universals. No question of studying and differences. Anthropological perspective, I may differ with a lot of people, but I said that no. What differences you are going to study? What differences you are going to, what are you going to achieve? They may say in physical anthropology, we achieve by studying differences, the evolution, macroevolution, all that, speciation, all that. Why not by universals? Why not by compare chimpanzee and humans in terms of what they share? Same in cultural anthropology also. But I am very much convinced on this, so I went in a big way. I tell you, these exhibitions are huge exhibition panels. Now, first we have planted this exhibition in National Museum, Delhi. We did it specifically. We want to educate our administrators, including ministry, lot of colleagues. Even vice president visited the exhibition. When I was explaining all this, is it? Yes, it is. Now, this type of interaction, it gave us some confidence. Then I said, no, these policies, these two projects, should go to we have to flag to government for public policies, formulation of public policies. Flagging the government, Now, Human Origins and Genome Project, we held a national conference in Delhi. This we did in 2004 when I joined. But mind you, before 2004, I was involved in the project as deputy director. Okay? So results are there. We called for a national conference, and what purpose was, a panel discussion was held on DNA banking of the named populations. I was knowing the issue there. I said that I discuss with my colleagues. Whatever programs I do discuss with my colleagues and then come out, whatever I have done. So there is an issue. And then the Professor T.N. Tandon, and Dr. T.S. Rao, who was at that time DBT, he was instrumental in making Professor T.N. Tandon as chairperson. And we brought him, and they had a discussions. And panelists gave recommendations, okay? The recommendation said that it is an important issue. We have to have a government policy and a national advisory committee should be established. That's what the recommendation. Accordingly, the Gazette notification was issued by Government of India, and we had, Dr. S.S. Agarwal with 9 experts and ex-officio members, DBT, DST, the ICMR, DRDO, Ministry of Environment, all the members, and director in charge is the member secretary. The committee submitted the report to Government of India, and the summary is like this. The committee recommends that National Repository for Human Genetic Resources should be created by the Act of Parliament, okay? And then in turn, immortalize cell line banks of defined Indian population, like, you have Andaman tribes, and their cells, blood samples are being collected, and what we want is immortalize the cell lines, of named population. Our populations represent 60,000 years of ancestry. You believe it or not, human evolution is very recent, only 120,000 years before. Okay, now in that 120,000 years before, our population had more than 60 to 70,000 ancestry. So imagine this type of biological depthness and interaction of environmental, cultural, and India is an experiment. Dobzhansky, long back he said, India is an experimental tool for human genetics. So policy interventions, I have again, the Synchronism project, We constituted Dr. T.N. Mandal with chairmanship. And again, a committee was formed under T.N. Mandal. And the summary of that, I will basically, what is the recommendation, that cultural pluralism and the issues related to identity of all the sections of society should be value-free. Multiculturalism is the Western society's problem, Here in India, cultural pluralism, okay, and should be value-free. Whatever you identify population sections, should be value-free. For example, terms like primitive tribal groups, scheduled tribes, scheduled castes, other backward classes, and they lack clarity. All these terms, I tell you in Central India, if you go, bills of 30 lakh people there, okay? Goans in Central India, I worked there. So there are so many groups, Naik Gond, Dul Gond, Lahan Kanran Gond, Raj Gond, so many Gond population. And ultimately in the scheduled, they have Raj Gond. My God, so much injustice, injustice. Wherever I went to feel, this is what the stories I hear, So whatever I could feel, I could scribbled a note and submit it. But this is what the issue there, Even PTGs, whatever it is, this profiling is not, based on scientific, it is scientific, ethnographic is scientific, but the only issue here is social construct, Social construct is now the issue is of biological construct. It is all these terms, is value loaded for one thing and construed as a social construct. In reality, biological construct is ignored here. And on biological basis, there are no tribe and caste for us based on the human genome research. So I have plenty of communication with the ministry, with other people, saying that no, biologically there is no caste and tribe. Okay? And in view of the findings, unanimously the committee recommends committee should be adopted to describe all the tribe and caste. Don't go for this third tribe caste, which are already value loaded. Let us have a neutral, term, but it is emphatic that positive affirmative action mentioned in Constitution, that should be in place. We are not arguing for that. That should be in place, okay? Constitutional provisions. Again, for this, interministerial committee was recommended, and it was, when I left the the issue is with ministry. Even the DNA banking issue is ultimately it has not seen any further progress. When I left, these are the standing. And issue 3 is, is what we say is prevention. There is a policy now in a draft policy on prevention and control of hemoglobinopathies and thalassemia. Now we have to intervene. Our anthropologists should intervene. In this policy, the construct, whoever has designed this policy is a patient and doctor construct, These diseases are no more doctor and patient construct. It's more than that. Population, there are population issues, population public health issues. This has been ignored by the policy. There are high risk groups, which we have to identify and whatever prevention programs we should do. But the question is, they want to create facilities all over the country, all the districts. Imagine how much money they have to spend. Ultimately, they don't have that money in public health. But even then, no, they will go on spending without any meaning. So immediately, what I request, our director, who is presently, he is audience, he can immediately constitute a small workshop, and deliberations. He can deliberate on the discussion on the policy, which is draft policy, and recommendations can be given to the government. Government to government, anthropological survey of India, whenever it put down, nobody is going to question. So this is the last, thing, which I want to share with you people, that it's a scientific organization. Anthropology is scientific approach. Even historical document says that. Now, the survey is in a non-scientific ministry. It is a subordination of the Ministry of Culture. Government of India has a policy. If any organization is doing scientific work under non-scientific ministry, they can represent, okay? So we made all the presentations and all that. And there was a committee at that time by the advisor to Prime Minister. I met him and told him about, I presented all this, and he said, no problem, you will consider, let your file come. The file has to go from, it has gone to Ministry of Culture. Ministry of Culture has sent to DOPT, and DOPT has to send to DST. DST secretary is the member secretary, okay? So, again, my request to Director Anthropological Survey of India, President Director, that, maybe this can be taken note, and it will be a great service to anthropology. So finally, acknowledgements. I acknowledge the support from the Minister of Culture and the staff of the survey in fulfilling my duties as Director in charge of the Anthropological Survey of India. For me, it was work with happiness. And I am fortunate that my wife and my children also shared my happiness and supported me throughout. If they could have not supported me, otherwise, it could have been just paperwork and no action in survey. Thank you all.